Hey, welcome back to 5 Minute Church. Kris here. We're talking this week on making proper biblical judgments. Today I've got 6 points on being impaired in judgment. Impaired judgment. Jesus said in John 7:24, to judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. The NLT version says you have to look beneath the surface so that you will judge correctly, which implies we can have impaired judgment. Somebody says, but you're not supposed to judge. Oh, you're not? Who are you going to marry? Shouldn't you make a judgment about that? Or if you're going to hire somebody or put somebody on your church staff, you ought to be making some judgments before you do that. And you've heard people say, well, he's a good judge of character. And we applaud that kind of judgment. So it's important that we don't have impaired judgment. First of all, some people's judgment is impaired by vanity, or with a capital P, by praise, or receiving praise. John 12 and verse 43, they love the praises of men more than the praises of God. In other words, our judgment can be skewed when we care what people think about us. In John 5 and 44, Jesus said, how can you believe, or how can you judge rightly, who receive honor one from another and seek not the honor that comes from God only? And then second, not only vanity, there are people that are impaired by gain or by increase. The P word would be by profit. In Jude 11, it says that they've ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward. And Jude verse 16 says that they have men's persons in admiration because of advantage. Well, if you start thinking about how you're going to profit or how you're going to be advantaged by something, it will mess up your moral compass. Exodus 23 and verse 8 is very important on that. You shall not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the discerning and perverts the words of the righteous. It will skew your judgment. Then number 3, there are those that are impaired by their upbringing, or should I say with a capital P, their presets. Listen, we come into this with a certain set of presets. Our biases very often run all the way back to the crib. I'm a Democrat because Dad was a Democrat. Our family's Baptist. Or you might say, oh, we're for Alabama Crimson Tide. We don't like the Auburn Tigers. Well, let me tell you something. That's a preset that you have. There's nothing wrong with Auburn Tigers, but you've been skewed in the way you look at people because of your presets. Let me tell you something. What you default to, your default can have a real fault. And then number 4, there are those that are impaired by religion, or with a capital P, that would be what? Prejudices. Now listen, if you have a skin problem, you have a sin problem. That with a capital R is racism. But listen, religion can be as bad as racism. And you say, but I'm just standing up for our church's fundamentals. No, you're not. You're not being fundamental. You're being judgmental. You're being religious. Galatians 1 and 13, Paul said, in times past in the Jews' religion, I persecuted the church of God. Listen to that. The church is the greatest people on the earth, but Paul had judged them as the worst people on earth. Why? Because of his precepts and his prejudices, because of his religion. He needed to change that. And then number 5, there are those that are impaired by misinformation, or with a capital P, their preferences. Now listen, you don't know all the facts. You don't know a person's motives. You don't know a person's heart. Somebody says, you don't even know me, and very often that's true. I was with somebody the other day, and they said, I don't like that. It's got tomatoes in it. This is a grown adult. Hey, this is the chef's master dish, and they made a judgment. I don't like it, even though they haven't even tasted it. Listen, they didn't have all the information. And if you don't taste and see that the Lord is good, how can you know that the Lord is good? But it's not my preference. Hey, maybe your preferences are wrong. Let me close with this, with P's. Praise, profit, presets, prejudices, preference, and then finally, peer pressure. There's some people have impaired judgment because they listen to the majority. Now that's what happened with Pilate. The crowd was crying, crucify him, crucify him. And then it says that the voices of the people and of the chief priests prevailed, and as a result, Luke chapter 23, Pilate made a sentence, or we could say a judgment, and condemned Jesus to death because of what the crowd said. It's important that you as a believer learn to not listen to the crowd, but make your judgments solely based on what the Word of God says. Hope you're enjoying this series. I want you to like and share this with a friend so that other people can get these important truths, and tune in tomorrow for more on Through the Prism of Chrism. God bless you.